Day 1. Day 1. Day 1? That's what it feels like. The first day of my life. I do not remember who I am or where I came from. I don't even have a name to latch onto. I don't know how I came to be outside the forest last night, but I thank my lucky stars that they found me. No, I may have lost my memories, but I am alive, and for that I am thankful. This day has been a blur. So many new faces. It's hard to match the names and voices. One pony I do know well already is the doctor who's been looking after me. She's the loveliest of Pegasi. Her name is Fluttershy. She lives on the outskirts of this town, PonyVille, apparently quite close to where I was found, which is why she was the one called to the scene. While I spent most of the morning there having my injury tended to, we've since moved to her other apartment close to the town centre. Apparently she rents it out as part of a little side business, but seeing as how it was vacant, she's allowing me to stay in it, free of charge no less. I was a bit sad at first when I learnt I wouldn't be staying with her, but as she reasoned, her cottage is very cramped, what with the large number of animals she shelters. Not the sort of place any pony should be recovering in. She assured me that she would check in on me as often as possible though. I'm very glad to have her as a friend. It was actually Fluttershy who suggested that I keep this diary. She said it might help trigger my memories if I get my thoughts onto paper. I'm a little doubtful. It really feels like I have no memories to remember, but I guess it can't hurt to try. Besides Fluttershy, I've met several other ponies who've heard about my arrival, seen even more just in passing. There was one particular pony who sticks in my mind, quite exuberant and a bit overwhelming. Her name was Pinkie Pie. She seemed overly happy to see me. I barely got a hello out before she was planning out my welcome to PonyVille party. Fluttershy was very quick to send her away, justifying her behaviour by saying, "She's like that with every pony. Probably best that you don't get involved with her." A strange thing to say, especially for some pony as kind as Fluttershy. Still, she knows this town and its residents far better than I do. Another pony I remember well was Soren. He stopped by the flat while Fluttershy was helping me get settled in. Apparently, he was one of the lookouts who discovered me and wanted to check in and see how I was doing. I don't remember a lot from last night. It was all a bit hazy, but Soren pretty much filled me in. He and his friend, Thunderlane, were doing their usual rounds when they came across me. He flew off to help while Thunderlane watched over me. He came back with the town sheriff, Rainbow Dash, who ordered them to fetch Fluttershy. That part I vaguely remember. Looking up at the figure with the rainbow-coloured mane, hearing her tell me it was going to be alright. Soren said that Rainbow Dash wanted to check in on me herself, but was apparently very busy with her job, so she asked Soren to pass on her best wishes. I was sure to thank Soren profusely for helping me, and I'll be sure to find the sheriff first chance I get and thank her too. The rest of my day was rather uneventful. The town librarian stopped over to see how I was doing, but I'm ashamed to admit that I completely forgot her name. I'll have to ask Fluttershy next time she's over. Beyond that, Fluttershy just made sure I was comfortable and healthy. This really is a wonderful town. I don't think I could have been luckier, and while I don't remember who I am, I'm sure that in a town as peaceful as this, I'll recover my memories quickly enough. Diary of Applejack. Tuesday, 8th November. The Queen is dead. Long live the Queen. It is official now. With the passing of our dear Granny Smith, I have been declared the new head of the family. The funeral was held in the earliest hours of the morning. It was a quiet affair. Only relatives were permitted to attend. I did notice Rainbow Dash skulking about during the burial, but I decided to ignore her. She didn't stick around long anyway. Not sure if I should be touched or suspicious that she was there. The rest of the family's associates and members arrived shortly after the funeral to pay their respects. The only thing on their minds were business. I had half a brain to tell them all to sod off, to have just one day where we could mourn in peace and not have to worry or think about family matters. Mac talked me out of it though, made sure to put me in my place and keep me in line. Sometimes I wonder where I'd be without some pony as stalwart as him to lean against from time to time. I made sure to send Apple Bloom away after the funeral. I didn't want her about when the associates arrived. She wasn't happy about it in the slightest, still insisting she wants to do more for the family. But I put my hoof down. I felt bad about it afterwards. I'm supposed to be comforting my little sis on a day like this, not sending her away so I can conduct business in secret. Still, I knew her old friend Sweetie Beau was back in town, and sure enough, when she got back this evening, she looked much better. The family meeting proceeded predictably. I had been acting as head of the family ever since Granny fell ill all those months ago. The whole thing was nothing more than a formality. Speaking of formalities, the position was briefly offered to Big Macintosh, but to no pony's surprise, he refused. After that, I was nominated. Then every pony cast their votes, which in itself was a waste of time since no pony even tried to stand against me. And very quickly I was declared the new matriarch of the Apple family, and all the associates were declaring their loyalty to me. Once that was out of the way, we moved on to the usual stuff, everything from finance to framings. There was a small issue regarding Flam's shop to deal with Berry Punch. Apparently after we met up with Caballeron last night, he received a little visit from the town's bicycle cloud chaser. Mac was sure to make it clear to him what would happen if he opted to forgo work in favour of sleeping around again. I doubt we'll have that problem again for a while. I was content to just call it a day once the meeting was finished, but Brayburn happened to mention something to me as he was leaving. It seems PonyVille has a new resident, a unicorn mare of unknown origins, discovered by the town's lookouts near the Everfree Forest. I asked around, and in typical fashion, word of this mystery mare had travelled fast. It would seem she had been found injured and completely lacking any memory of who she was or where she came from. A most peculiar event in a town like this. I may have to pay her a visit personally in the coming days, see her for myself and, if need be, let her know exactly who is in charge of this town. Diary of Rainbow Dash, Tuesday, 8th November. Well, today has just sucked balls. Have I ever mentioned I don't like the mare very much? I feel like I've mentioned that a few dozen times in this diary. Seriously, I can't tell if AJ is paying her off or if she really is just as incompetent as she appears. Fleetfoot and I may have a laugh about her while sitting in the office, but when I have to sit through meetings with her that seem to go on and on and on, and I haven't had a wink of sleep. Yeah, I know Soren told me not to be out last night, but hey, even he can't complain after the incident with that mare. I never did get a chance to check in on her today. Soren said she was doing well, but I'd still like to see her myself. Maybe have a proper talk with her and see if we can't figure out what she was doing out there. Last night, I was sure the family had something to do with it. But the more I've thought about it today, the less I really believe that. It just doesn't feel like something Applejack or her cronies would pull off. Not nearly as clean or efficient as their usual stuff. I went to Granny Smith's funeral this morning, before my meeting with the mayor. I didn't tell Soren, as I knew he would have lost his head with me. I couldn't just waltz on over to the grave itself. It was strictly a family-only deal. That is to say, family by blood, not family by business. So I watched from the trees for a few minutes. I don't even know why I went. It just made me feel weird seeing the coffin sink into the ground, seeing AJ. It doesn't matter, she's gone, and AJ's probably been elected as the new godmother or whatever they call her. That's why this is my one shot, my chance to finally bring them down. While they're weakened by their loss, I could put an end to their crimes once and for all. That felt weird to write. I feel weird now. I checked in on Berry Punch today after my meeting. I don't know if Scootaloo's info was bunk or what, but everything seemed to be fine. As far as I could tell, she hadn't been targeted by Flim or Flam. Not yet, at least. I'll still have to tell Soren to keep a watch on her house these next few nights. I'm sure she wouldn't mind too much. It's not like we're going to have any more excitement like last night. Again, I'll have to see about visiting that mare tomorrow. I hope her and Fluttershy are getting along. What am I saying? I don't think it's possible to not instantly become best friends with Fluttershy. Diary of Scootaloo, Tuesday, 8th November. So today was pretty interesting, although that might be mostly to do with everything that happened last night. An unknown mare appearing out of nowhere with no name or explanation as to how she came to be where she was. If that wasn't interesting, I don't know what is. Truth be told, I didn't stick around for too long. Since Fluttershy arrived on the scene, there wasn't exactly anything for me to do. Rainbow Dash let me go on, saying we'd pick up where we left off the next day, as in today. Although I didn't see her at all today, but I knew she had something on with the mare, so it might have been for the best that I didn't run into her. She probably would have been in a crappy mood. Naturally, I slept in this morning, being out so late last night. Cheerilee wasn't happy about it, but she's cool enough not to try and stop me from helping Rainbow Dash out with her work. I was pretty late at meeting up with the old Crusaders. Sweetie Belle got back from Canterlot yesterday, so we arrived to meet up at Sugar Cube Corner today and catch up. I wasn't expecting Apple Bloom to come today at all, what with her granny's funeral, but apparently her sister wanted her out of the house. We ended up spending most of the day together cheering up Apple Bloom, and I think we did pretty well. I think she's taken the whole thing pretty well, since they knew it was coming. In fact, I'm pretty sure she's secretly a little happy that she's not suffering anymore. Of course, Sweetie Belle was absolutely full of stories from her new life in Canterlot. I zoned out through most of it. Higher education never really interested me. I was surprised when she actually stopped talking about herself to ask what I was doing these days, which is where things got slightly awkward. I had sort of decided that I would tell Sweetie Belle the truth, but the fact that Apple Bloom was there complicated matters. Rainbow Dash had strongly advised against letting her know what I was doing, particularly since neither of us knew if she was aware what her family was really involved in. After all, how could I let her know that I was actively trying to bring her whole family down from the crimes they were committing? Perhaps without her even knowing. Instead, I opted to lie for Apple Bloom's sake, and told Sweetie Belle that Rainbow Dash was training me for the Wonderbolts. I hate lying to my friends, and I hate working behind Apple Bloom's back. But her family is dangerous. She might even realise that if she heard the things I had, but she would never forgive me for the part I'm playing in bringing them to justice. When we finally parted ways late evening, I decided to pay Fluttershy a visit, hoping to see the mare we found last night. Turns out she was staying in Fluttershy's flat in the town centre, not her cottage. Still, it gave me a good opportunity to stay and chat with Fluttershy anyway. She knows about me working with Rainbow Dash, so I was able to tell her my concerns about Apple Bloom. She didn't exactly have any advice for me, but it felt good to get it off my chest to another pony. I'd never tell Rainbow Dash in case she asked me to stop working with her, and I don't want to burden Cheerilee with the details if I can help it. Anyway, Sweetie Belle is staying with her sister for a couple weeks, so we might be able to hang out more in the coming days. And if Apple Bloom starts to feel better soon, it'll be just like the old days. Diary of Rarity, Tuesday, 8th November. Today has been just wonderful. A slightly rocky start, admittedly, but I was able to look past that. The weather for a start was simply divine. It is quite clear that we are now coming into winter. I woke up to find my whole garden covered in the most dazzling layer of frost. While the frost melted all too quickly, the weather stayed cool enough all day, so I was able to justify showing off my latest winter ensemble. Quite a few ponies in the streets were stopping me to put in commissions for their own outfits so that they may look even a fraction of how fabulous I was today. I had a lovely lunch at my favourite bistro with my good friend Cloud Chaser, who of course had all the best gossip for me. At the end of our lunch, I managed to charm some hapless stallion into covering our bill. Poor fellow was only passing through town, so I doubt I'll be expected to hold up my end of the agreement. Even if he does come looking for something in return, I can always send him the way of Cloud Chaser. She would hardly object. Sweetie Belle was also out of my hair all day, off visiting her old friends. I love her dearly, but even a day with her and I'm already remembering why I was so relieved when she moved up to Canterlot to carry on her education. I suppose since I mentioned the rocky start, I should go into more detail. Well, I was expecting a visit from my beloved Soren first thing this morning. He informed me yesterday that our dear sheriff would be tied up all morning in a meeting with the mayor. How unfortunate for her. However, while I eagerly awaited Soren in the backyard as per usual, I was instead approached by a pair of Applejack's goons, kindly reminding me that I was late in paying the family their protection fee. Being the good standing lady I am, I forced myself to smile as I hooved over the bits they seemed to think I owed them, all while mentally taking note of their faces and cutie marks so that one day I might teach them what happens to foolish ponies who attempt to extort me. As if that wasn't bad enough, Soren never did show up. I waited outside for an hour, and as beautiful as the weather was, it was impossible to enjoy it when knowing that my time could be better spent wrapped up in his hooves. I eventually gave up, accepting that it was too late for him to make an appearance. That was when I went into town in hopes of cheering myself up. It certainly accomplished that, considering I actually ran into Soren outside of Fluttershy's flat. At first I was angry with him, and I nearly blew our cover with my outbursts, but he quickly explained why he hadn't been able to attend. It would seem that last night, while he was on his rounds, he came across an unconscious mare in dire need of assistance. Of course, being the noble stone that he is, he took the time to help her. This whole morning, he had been wrapped up in making contacts to other towns to see if any pony knew who she was. Poor dear had lost her memories in whatever accident landed her in my beloved's path. Of course, I couldn't stay mad at him for that, and I knew he wasn't lying to me as I ran later into his partner Thunderlane, who was able to confirm it. And of course the appearance of this new mare was all the rage in PonyVille. Every pony seemed to be talking about it. Soren assured me he would make up for his absence the first chance he got. Apparently Rainbow Dash has been staying out these past few nights, and it's harder for him to sneak off while on duty. I should probably feel bad that I'm taking Soren away from his work, but he works himself ragged all the time. He's allowed to break off once in a while to have some fun. Besides, what does PonyVille even need 2 lookouts for anyway? Nothing bad ever happens in this town.